With integrity, you have nothing to fear since you have nothing to hide. With integrity, you'll do the right thing, so you'll have no guilt. Thinking of things such as integrity, you begin to see that a loss of integrity is something that this society strives to induce in everybody, in every single citizen that exists within all of our nations. And it is this loss of integrity which has, in a large part, led to the current human predicament. And that may be a strange thing for people to look at. I mean, most people might hear that and think, well, hang on a minute, Max, I've got integrity, I'm a good person. But really there's a high harmonic, because you might be a good person, but in regard to the system itself has no integrity. And as I've said previously, when you have a psychopath that is in control of a system or a business or a corporation or a system of government or a nation or anything, then the morality of the psychopath becomes the morality of those who operate within the parameters of the system they have constructed. And therefore, even though we may be people of integrity who wish to always operate in a manner that exhibits integrity, when we are forced to operate within the parameters of the system, we simply can't do it because the system doesn't work that way. The system forces us to step outside of our integrity in order to perform everyday business actions. And if we were to maintain our integrity within the system, within our workings in the system simply couldn't function. Of course, what prevents people from doing this very often is a fear of losing their jobs if they step outside the lines their company dictates. And again, this is because the company is based usually on psychopathic parameters, whereby when you start operating with any type of integrity within those systems, you simply don't fit the system and they replace you and put someone in there who is more likely to do what they want. But the point is that if we were to maintain our integrity in all that we do through our lives, we would see that we don't really need to support the system at all, because by supporting the system, we are forced every day in almost every action that we do to step outside of our moral compass and to essentially place our integrity aside. We kind of leave that at the doorway when we clock on in the mornings and pick it up from our lockers when we take the bus home. And that's not really the way we should be doing things. If we were to operate within these parameters of integrity all the time and apply these parameters to our everyday actions, even in the workspace, we would heal the world very, very quickly. And again, what prevents people from doing this generally is fear, when really if they were to simply stay always within their moral compass and ask the right questions, then they need have no guilt in their actions, and so therefore they should have nothing to fear. Because it really isn't about maintaining your position in whatever company you're working in. The goal really is to expose these companies for what they are, because they're not really anything that we need at all. Not when you understand how reality works and what the human species really is and what we are really capable of. This entire social system, the entire economic system, our factories, everything we do, everything about Western society is completely wrong. And there's not too much that we do right at all, really, when you look at it. When you look at ancient civilization, you look at how the world has been run in the past, and you look at some of the accomplishments of some of the past civilizations that we had here, or the past civilization that we had here, the one that we've got now is this prefab thrown together monstrosity, and underneath it all is a human slavery system. And we really do need to recognise this for what it is and step back into our moral compass and start operating always within integrity and having no guilt in what we do. We need to question authority, folks. We need to question what we're doing, question the direction this system is going, and stop being led into all these theatres of conflict and all this rubbish that our governments are leading us into, because all of it is theatre. It's important that we deal with that, but it's also important that we don't allow ourselves to be led into theatres of conflict within the independent media as well, because that's what all of this trolling is about. It's to lead you into theatres of conflict on the videos that you post and in the discussions that you get into, so nothing ever really gets discussed. It's all accusations, leading to arguments, leading to distrust. It's all about divide and conquer, and it's all a distraction from the real issue at hand. And we need to seriously stop squabbling with each other and pay attention to this predicament we are currently in. We need to step back into our integrity, folks, and deal with this situation. And really that's all it will take for people to do in order for us to deal with it. And people shouldn't be in fear of speaking out and asking the right questions. They should be more concerned about the direction our politicians are leading us and realise that we don't have to do any of this. And for anybody who's travelled the world the way I have, I'm sure you've seen, and for any of those who do travel will see, that there isn't anybody anywhere who wants to go to war. There's nobody anywhere in any country that wants to invade you. All of these conflicts are cooked up by government, and they're all contrived, and they're all done for a reason. And all of this stuff is pretty well being exposed now if we can start banding together in some way, stop hacking each other down. And when I say band together, I'm not saying create some sort of a movement. I mean, we don't need a movement, we don't need any leaders in this, but we do need some sort of unity of focus. We really do. That's the big problem with the entire resistance, is that it has no focus. Everybody's hacking each other down because they have a different opinion to them, or they're investigating a different rabbit hole to them. And we've just got to put all this stuff aside because we are in a state of clear and present danger. So put all these differences aside, we're all facing the same fate here. I mean, even the people who work within all these corrupt industries, as I said, many of the people in lower levels of government and lower levels of Hollywood and lower levels of media and all this sort of stuff really don't know what they're swimming in. A lot of it is the big wigs, the TV news anchors and hosts of big variety shows and talk shows. I mean, I'm pretty sure most of them know what's going on. But a lot of the small fries, they don't know what they're swimming in. And many of these people appear to be waking up to the fact that something's terribly wrong. So I think we've got a huge opportunity here, ladies and gentlemen, if we can get a little bit of focus. I mean, the thing is, when these people wake up and they start going public, they need support from the independent media. But again, a further problem is that even though many of them are waking up, many of them still believe there is some sort of political remedy to be found, and a lot of the independent media still believes there is some sort of political remedy to be found. But the fact of the matter is that there isn't. We're never going to get any remedy from government because that is not what government is structured to provide. That is not the purpose of government. The fact is that we don't need government at all. And as I alluded to on the show last week, if you really start going down the rabbit hole and you're prepared to think right outside the box and you really start looking at things and connecting the dots, it would appear that government hasn't actually been here for very long anyway. And we really don't need any of these things, folks. There is no remedy to be found in government, and there never will be. In fact, all the problems that we face all come from the hand of government. And the fact that they do, well, it should be a little bit of an indication to everybody that that is the purpose of government. To create problems, to limit human potential, and to create the situation that the world is now in. Otherwise, the world would not be in this situation. And that is why there will never ever be any remedy to be found in government. But still, people do enter into that system, good people who do want to make change and they believe it will work, and that is why they enter into that system. So we've got to be careful who we're judging and look at what their actions are and take into account the system that they are forced to operate within. And also bear in mind that they are probably completely unaware that they are going to be forced to operate within psychopathic parameters once they enter into that system. And then even when they're operating under those parameters, very often they just see it as economic parameters or bureaucratic parameters. They don't ever step back and look at the bigger picture and simply ask why any of this is there to begin with. And that's the thing, you see. The problem is that even people who want to make change, good people who enter within the system, people who get jobs as politicians or whatever, very often they want to make a difference, but then they're forced to operate within completely corrupt parameters which have no integrity and force them to operate outside their moral compass. And very often in this situation they're getting such a high pay that they're prepared to put a few of their morals down and sort of do what they're told because they like the paycheck they're getting. If they are someone who won't accept the paycheck and want to maintain their morals, well, they'll just get squeezed out and end up a backbencher somewhere not being able to do anything. And if there's someone who really takes to the system and likes the whole concept, then they'll get taken to a nice party somewhere and they'll get compromised in a brownstone operation so that the hand at the top has some dirt on them, and then they'll get promoted to a position of power to always do what they're told from that point.
Help by spreading this message. Share with your friends, leave a like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Turn on notifications to stay updated.